lot of times when we address these issues, you'll have people, some who are, from the diaspora that immigrate here and say, why are y'all addressing these issues? And the reason why we're going to address this issue is because a lot of times it's not even what somebody's saying. You got to really listen to what they're saying, look at who they're comparing themselves to, and then you can address it properly. And actually, when you listen to what people are saying and address it properly, it really makes them not look good, and it's very performative. But I want you to hear what this woman has to say. She's from Jamaica. She immigrated here to the United States. But I want you to hear what she says about Black Americans.
And Black American people, can y'all please stop talking about what the white man is doing to hold y'all down? I got friends who couldn't afford tissue growing up, so they used to go in the bush and use a leaf to wipe their doo-doo. Where are they from? Country, Jamaica. And all of them just bought their girl Benzes this year. Wait, I don't know if all of them was wiping their doo-doo with leaf, but all of them came from nothing, and all of them got their girls Benzes this year. And it's not about the Benz or the bags. The point is, life in other countries is harder than it is in America. Immigrants come here and have it harder than you as an American, and they still make it happen. They buy more land than you, and they don't even go here. They're not from here. And you still talk about what got taken from you during slavery? I know Grabaleaf owns a jet. A man that is not from your country owns a jet in your country, and you talking about what the white man did to you still if you don't. And girls, I hate when you say, I had to become a stripper, I had to sell pum pum because life was hard. I'm a Jamaican woman. I chose to stand up in the hot sun and sell water to get capital to start my business, because I can go back home and see what real hard life is. So I'm grateful for every opportunity I have in this country. And many of us successful immigrants, we didn't have food stamps, Section 8, none of that. And we got more than you in your country. So stop talking about what the white man is doing to hold you down. You're holding yourself down with your mindset. You're unstoppable, king and queen. They can't hold you down.
Right. Well, that was the Jamaican Nicki Minaj. But let's go ahead on and get to what she was actually saying. Let's really pay attention to what this woman is saying. The first thing she started off saying was about white people. Now, if anyone starts off trying to say anything about white people and what our history is with them here and what we speak about the system and the issues here, you already know you're starting off performative and you're starting off just shucking and jiving. That's it. Because who's the target audience? The target audience isn't Black Americans, because you started off mentioning white people. If you really want to talk about white people, let's talk about white people in your homeland. White people put all these resorts in your homeland and privatize your beaches, right? And they make it difficult for you. They put the prices so high that people in your homeland, they can afford to work on the resort, but a lot of them can't even take their families to these resorts because they're so incredibly expensive. Now, you mentioned that when some people in your homeland had to wipe their butt with a leaf. Well, Black people on Section 8, I could promise you, have never wiped their butt with a leaf. I promise you they never did that. So you're comparing things that you don't even know what you're talking about. Now, and I notice when you compare yourself, listen to kind of Black people she's comparing herself to, or immigrants like herself comparing themselves to. She said it. You comparing yourself with people who qualify for those programs. In order to qualify for those programs, you have to make low income. Notice she isn't comparing herself to middle-class Black Americans. She's definitely not comparing herself to the upper class and upper echelon Black Americans. She's not comparing herself to Black business owners, the Black educated. Notice she's not comparing herself to any of that. She only wants to compare herself and others to people who qualify for Section 8 and food stamps and things like that. Listen, if you want to, let me tell you something. If you really want to do a flex, why don't you do a flex that you earn more money than a lot of white folks do? Because I was based off what you're saying. You do earn more money than a lot of them do. That's the flex. Telling them you came over here and they have everything literally handed to them. All they got to do is show up and get it. And you still got more than them. You don't win anything by saying you did something more than Black people who are at the time low income. You don't win any prizes for that. It shows, one, that's the only people that you could, I guess, competing with. And I don't know why you're trying to compete with Black Americans who are, quote unquote, low income. They're not competing with you. They're not even thinking about you. I'm telling you that. So you come all the way over here, do whatever you're doing, and you're measuring yourself based off of Black Americans who are low income. That shows you can't even compete with the rest of Black America, because if you would talk about the Black middle class, you would talk about the Black upper class, you would talk about the Black rich, you would be talking about all of that. And you can't compete with that. Ma'am, you define success as having a business. Ma'am, Black Americans been having businesses ever since we've been in this country. You can't compare success behind what? A car? A car, you didn't go buy that car cash. You're making payments. And if you have some downturns in your business, it happens. You miss 2-3 payments, guess what happened? That same car that you're thinking you better than other people with, the bank will come pick it up. Bottom line. That's exactly what will happen. Okay? You're sitting here being arrogant, and you just don't know how life will treat you. It's like, see, I've noticed a pattern with some of y'all that make these videos, because this is what you admit. Some people in your homeland had to wipe their behind with a leaf. So you come over here, it's like, oh my God, you didn't hit the lottery. And instead of just being happy that you are doing, I guess, good for yourself, you want to look down on somebody. And that's what makes it an ugly thing. Then at the end, you want to come across, oh, well, you can do it. Like, no. Okay? Here's the thing. Black Americans, you mentioned somebody have a jet. There's Black Americans who have jets. Tyler Perry has a jet. He's a Black American. That's a lot of Black Americans got jets. What are you talking about? And once again, you're not comparing yourself to Tyler Perry. You're comparing yourself to people who are on low income. That lets you know you don't even strive higher if you're going to compete. You don't do it. Like, what do I get trying to compare myself to? Well, first of all, I don't compare myself to nobody, because I got too much work to be going on to be looking at another man or woman what they not doing. Because while I'm paying attention to them, I could be doing my own work over here, right? So that's something I just don't do, and a lot of Black Americans don't do that, first and foremost. But that looking down on people or comparing yourself, that's that tribalism stuff that, and then some of it is in the Caribbean too. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of looking at us, why don't you share some of that wealth with your fellow Jamaicans? Help get another sister or brother out the mud over there, instead of sitting in your car over here parlaying. I mean, you really think that you're quote unquote successful, that you got a business and some cars. You never put together an institution. Y'all don't put together institutions. What I mean by institutions, colleges, universities, y'all don't put that together. Y'all don't even have a strong groups that have a 50-year history, 60-year history of doing things. Y'all don't do any of that. You don't. Your claim to fame is I drive a car that I like, that I'm paying payments on. I stay in this neighborhood. And you said, and listen, let me tell you something, sis. The folks right now making them videos talking about, oh, y'all talk about white people. That's not going to save you from ICE. You probably need to be worried about ICE right now. Okay? No, people may not hear your accent too much, but your concern is ICE. Okay? If American citizens are getting harassed by ICE, what do you think they're going to do to you when they ask you about citizenship and notice you got an immigrant background? See, you should be worried about other things, not Black Americans, ma'am. I'm just saying. I'm just saying your concerns are way more right now than worried about a Black American on Section 8. But see, videos like that. That's why some people get bothered and say they really reluctant about trying to unify with some of you, is because you trying to look down on Black. Now, of course, I got to say this with balance. Of course, she doesn't represent all Jamaican Americans or people who immigrated from Jamaica. I will say that completely, and I know she is her own person. I know some people may have that attitude, but she is her own person, okay? Because I meet plenty of Jamaicans. I've met them. I've and talk with them. They love what we do here. They cool. You know, they don't even agree with some of that conversation this woman's having. I'm just addressing what she's saying, and I wanted to let them know that you're not impressing nobody having a car, having a business. A car is a depreciating asset. Do you know a car is the worst thing to go get? Brand new. It's depreciating. I guarantee your car isn't 3 or 4 years old where it don't depreciate as much anymore. 9 times out of 10, you even bought that car brand spanking new. And in 3 years, that car's not worth nothing that you paid for it. And all that interest you got to pay for. So, you know, name brands don't impress me. You know, they don't impress me. They don't impress a whole lot of people. Why? Because all made in China. Why would you go buy some Louis Vuitton? A person like you will go to Louis Vuitton and spend $1,200-$1,500 on a purse when the purse itself was actually worth about $80 to $100. All you got to do is go to the Chinese Connect. But, you know, you'll waste money like that. See, my grandmother always said this. You can always tell when somebody never had nothing. And the reason why you can tell is because they tell everybody what they got, or you know, something whether they drive, what they wear, where they live. He said people that really got something, they don't tell you what they drive, where they live. They low key. They don't want you to know nothing. They're not trying to draw attention to themselves because they don't want people trying to ask them for money every 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But that woman right there, and what I kind of pity her a little bit though. Because she really thinks she said something. Like, she didn't eat. But I'm addressing it because this kind of mindset is what causes issues. And we need to, on these platforms that we have and the voice that we have, we want to address these platforms. Because listen, I'm not saying this, and I mean this. I work with black people globally, okay? Black people that don't like me, got a wrong attitude, I want nothing to do with them. I don't care if they're from America or from abroad. And there's the black people that want to unify with me and be on the right thing, whether they're here in America or abroad, I'm with them. I want to unify with them. But a car, a business, okay, you say you've done more than people in this country. You cannot do more than black people have done in this country as a collective. You haven't invented anything. You don't come here and invent anything. You don't get patents for nothing. It's like, it's so much we have done to even innovate this country. You can't compare yourself to us. It's just a silly thing. But like I said, the deal of your success is a car you're paying for, a business that plenty of black Americans have. That's so many black Americans got a business. Like, but when you don't have nothing, those sort of things impress you, and you think it impress others. So I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're doing well. I genuinely mean that. I'm glad you're doing well. But don't try to compare yourself to other people, because we really start comparing black America to just even you and what black America have comparison to what a lot of times so-called immigrants are doing. It's not going to compare. You don't have the history. You don't even have the people to outdo us. That's the thing. And why are you worrying about us? You should be worrying about them folks.